All right, we're live. See who we can get to pop in here. Get this rolling. Hope everybody's having a good day. We'll let this warm up. I tried to get out of the breeze a little bit, but still be outside. We'll see what happens. It's nice. Today it was like cloudy all day. It didn't. Thought it was going to rain. Nothing. Could use some rain. Always use some rain. But I'm going to try to provide some perspective here if we can get this started and talk about the current situation, such as it is. It's not a laughing matter, but you sometimes laugh just to relieve the tension of the issue at hand, right? Some people checking in there. What's going on? Hope everybody is again staying out of the fracas that's going on. And it sounds like the fracas is pretty much everywhere. Uh, and with that, getting into that, I think you can pretty much say that it's an organized fracas. Without a doubt, these things don't just happen spontaneously without serious organization. And by the fracas, I'm talking about the rioting, not the protest, the actual rioting and the events that are occurring basically between about 2200 about 0300 in basically every major city and some minor ones for the last 4 or 5 days. Not good, right? Um, a lot of interesting things have converged along with that. Um, you've got the not only the militarized police, but now the demand. We've talked about this for a long time, several years. There will come a point where the American people will beg for their security and the crushing boot heel of the police state. And it sounds like we're there. I mean, if we're not there, how much worse can it get to where people are like demanding, um, you know, that somebody come and enforce all the rules and regulations, and or just to keep everybody safe, et cetera, et cetera. We've talked about that a long time. Like, what will it take for the police state to be implemented at the begging and pleading of the people? And from what I've seen, the begging of the people is definitely there. They are, if they're not asking their weak need mayors and their weak need governors, they're asking the tin pot tyrant Trump to bring in the military. It ranges the gamut, and it's all sides of the political spectrum. Everybody is begging for peace and security and all these other catchphrases when just they basically want a militarized police state. Because that's all it's left to give, right? It's not like there's not enough overreach, there's not enough um, militarization of police and all the other problems we have with restricted liberties. Now everybody wants more because obviously that wasn't enough. And that's such as the case is what we're going, you know. And so really, always thinking in long-term terms, and I'm really looking at it from the outside looking in. I've not been near. I mean, they had some incident in Reno over the weekend. Actually, town hall had a fire lit inside it. It didn't burn down or nothing, but it's fairly close, right? That's getting fairly close to home. That's not often some far distant place over the mountain or anything like that. Um, it's definitely business is picking up, if you know what I'm saying. So you continue to reevaluate, but I am still looking from the outside looking in. So not being, on the ground at the location, I'm looking at it more as a holistic overall view. Um, and I can't, the next shoe to drop, it just seems to be military control. Trump is acting like an absolute moron uh, to the amazement and baffling of everybody. Just total, and Biden is totally incompetent. Talk about even more baffling. So nobody has that choice to make come November. It just seems like it's being set up that come either that November to January timeframe that a military general is going to step in, and who knows what that means, depending on how much worse it gets, right? I mean, it could all die down this week, and hey, we're all everybody's happy, and everybody forgets about all the overstepping and civil liberty infringements that's occurred this past week, from National Guard shooting tear gas onto people's porches to, I think it was actually pepper balls or something like that. It was non-lethal stuff, but not tear gas itself. But people standing on their own porches being shot at with non-lethal munitions from National Guard troops and state troopers, etc. Um, to all the other craziness, right? Does everybody else just forget about it? Does it all just go away? Um, then you have the issue of, to kind of see how this all ties together, the term boogaloo has gotten an awful lot of attention this last 4 or 5 days. And if you remember, just about 2 weeks ago is when that Maryland Information Intelligence Report came out, and the Maryland Intelligence Report came out with the whole boogaloo symbolism, and it was a extreme Second Amendment group, uh, whatever. Obviously, putting their own spin on it, and now the left wing side of Twitter is full of warning everybody that the people who have the boogaloo are all a bunch of right wing white supremacists. It's funny how this has just turned that narrative that just popped out, because nobody knew what the boogaloo was, or the big igloo, big blue. All those things are now all over in the left wing world. Like, watch out for these guys. They're a bunch of white supremacists, racists, and everything else, and they're trying to just burn everything down. Basically, like they're saying everybody's an anarchist that's doing all this, when it's obviously Antifa, which is another subject I want to get to here. Talk about intelligence failures, right? But with this whole boogaloo thing coming out on the intelligence report, and then just getting massive dump on social media to avoid it, because the whole thing of the boogaloo and I call it a movement, but people that coalesced around it and talked about it, was the bad times are coming. It's best to get ready and be ready for things to go really bad. And that's what the electric boogaloo was. It wasn't like, and people, had fun with it, I guess, as much as you can, talking about being a Bougala Jardine and stuff. Um, but it's an extension, of the militia movement and other things, I think. But just putting a spin on it so that everybody can understand, like, hey, bad times are coming. You better be ready for the boogaloo. That's what it was all about. But now it's been spun to anybody who has any of the imagery or talks about it, has any of the hashtags or anything, that you're a white supremacist. And it totally was never what it was. But they're trying to minimize it because they don't want people to get ready. They don't want people to rush to independence and form and coalesce into groups. They want people to rely on the government. So I think that's what that's all about. Everybody wants the government solutions. The government solutionaries are all talking that down and talking everybody around. The good news is everybody has been talking about buying firearms again. the that post rate is sky high, of everybody wanting to go out quickly and buy some firearms. That is definitely picking up. I mean, we thought business was good before. I wish I could manufacture guns, because I'd have a whole other business, right? I mean, that's where the money's at right now. Arms and ammunition, plate carriers, body armor. Who knows what else you could produce that people would definitely purchase at this rate. I've had direct conversations with people, not just social media. People that have firearms, like, I need to go buy more, because they get that anxiety in the back of their head. People who are like, yeah, I need some higher capacity magazines, not just that World War II rifle or that Korea War rifle at M1 Garand. I need something with a little more capacity. Seeing how these riots and these groupings of people are coming out, everybody's getting a little antsy about, oh, how do I deal with 30 people, 50 people, not just, the one or two home intruders that most rational people have been thinking about, over the years. Their 10-round mag, or their 5-round box mag, or even a 10-round pistol mag would handle no problem, right? But no, we're in a whole other level now. So everybody's thinking about that high capacity or standard capacity AR in particular. as a the fix it all, right? Or at least a go-to, a good thing to have, right? Which, hey, I know everybody that's in the side chat's probably been preaching for years, if not listening to on this channel and talking about it. It's like arm yourself appropriately. Um, and the the silence of the gun control crowd is pretty funny. And there's been some converted suspects as well, um, high profile people who were laughing about the stuff burning down in Minneapolis and Maine downtown, but when it got to their neighborhood, were complaining and telling everybody to stop. That was pretty funny. It's always funny when it happens to somebody else, and then you complain about it coming to your neighborhood, you know. But speaking of it coming to your neighborhood, the Antifa, right? Um, Biggest intelligence failure of our time, uh, hands down. I'm still baffled, and I posted this on Twitter. I think I am baffled that the FBI allowed that to develop to that capacity and that capability. But you know, they've been chasing cowboys all over the West and things like that. So I guess they had their priorities. You know, it's interesting that they weren't able to infiltrate a bunch of teenagers, um, which makes you think they're either ignorant or they're in on it. And if they're either way, they need to be abolished and taken down. Right? They need to be done away with if they can't handle that mission. Mission failure in that point is, I mean, so incredibly high. So they're ignorant or they're in on it. And I'm thinking they're probably in on it at some high levels and low levels to allow it to get to that point to where they can operate country nationwide all at once, coordinated. Um, and they were worried about, you know, all of us out here that were trying to form teams and be a coalesced unit, um, based upon constitutional principles. They were worried about us because we were a threat to their power, because we don't believe that they hold the power, because we don't believe in central government. But the Antifa types, they just let walk on by, cause the chaos. It looks like, I don't know how you can put any more than that. They massive failure, uh, or just they're in on it and they allowed it to happen. I'm going with the latter. Um, More discussion, I guess, we could have on that. So if they allowed that to happen, is one problem, and that all leads back to the original, or back what I was saying earlier, is this continues down a path, politically in particular, to where a military organization, military leadership decides to step in and take over. As far fetched as that sounds, everything that happened Saturday sounded far fetched, you know, 2 weeks ago even. You know, everybody was still talking about just being locked down and getting the economy started. Now we're more worried about just keeping things from burning down. So things change drastically. We talk about uh, for many years about keeping your OODA loop going, keeping your observe, orient, decide, and react, um, and act. Do not stop bringing in information and processing it, and continue to analyze, because the situation is definitely changing rapidly. And to just rest on your laurels and think, well, this is what's going on, you know, this is just an Antifa movement and they're going to push it out and we're going to be fine, or whatever the next step any government level makes is going to be fine. We're going to get, you know, do not rest on your laurels. Do not become complacent in this. Is too much chaos. And as much peacefulness as I have out here, I guess I have the luxury of being a little bit more stand back and be able to look at it from that perspective. If you're in the day to day going down city streets, you're more immediate. It's more of a tactical level thought. So do what you need to do tactically, but step back and make that strategic decision making too, to look at what's going on in that bigger picture, because things are changing fast, and it's been so fast that it's definitely over. I mean, the overreach that was done by all the states in this supposed lockdown for a virus that, you know, apparently didn't work enough, so they wanted to kick this off. Who knows what played into each thing, because there's been multiple bad cops that have killed people over the last 4 or 5 months that could have been put out there to start something like this. Why they just shows, obviously it was easy to see, and it was easy to be outraged at the overreach, at the abuse and the murder of that the cops perpetrated this time. but to then a conflagration that kicks off after that is suspect compared to other events that could be used for the same manner, right? So it was this time that people chose to hype this up, you know. So just some thoughts there. I hope everybody is doing good, and really just keep an eye on that political military control thing, because that seems to be the next big hammer to drop. That I don't. It can't go good. And if you think, and just thinking in my analytical mind, if the FBI is in on the Antifa thing and lets that happen, when they drop the next hammer, they will come picking up people like us. They will not allow us to prosper. When they drop the hammer and institute the next phase, that's when the pickups start happening, because they can't allow them people to, us people like us, like-minded and capable as well of existing and functioning in their proposed power grid. That's not part of the plan, and they know that people like that can upset the plan. But in particular, with the way things are going, dropping the military command now, with the way people are begging for peace and security, it's going to be the easiest way to neutralize a certain segment of the population, and it's also going to neutralize a certain portion of the veteran population too, who will acquiesce, who will be like, "I'm not fighting my brothers," right? It'll be interesting to see. It depends on, it's going to take a little more chaos, I think, to get to that point, but it doesn't seem like we're that far off, unfortunately. So I've ran my mouth enough. Let me check the side chat here. Lots of people checking in, it looked like. Thanks for the comments. Hope you guys are commenting well out here. I saw a lot of people checking in early. Wayne G, Rob Painless, M Long out there. Even some issues out there in Kentucky. The most autistic boogaloo. Oh, it is next level, that's for sure, because you saw what's going on in Louisville and stuff like that. Loading more Freedom Siege. Right on, Wayne. Nevada Cario, what's going? Yeah, I saw Tony's posts. Things are just as soon as Tony gets settled and doing things are going good, things go sideways. That sounds. I mean, that's got to be with what I mean. That Tony thing's another example of three-letter agencies putting their fingers in things. There's no way that happens without three-letter agency involvement. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go see Tactical Tony's. Or what's he going now by now? Trebuchet Tony? No, he's Timber Tony. I don't know. He's got his name changed on his channel, I think. But go check out Tony's last couple of videos. They are definitely messing with him, I would say, to no end. Yeah, invoking. He's talking about invoking it, I thought, Wayne. And I know everybody's on standby as far as the military goes on the different units. In particular, 82nd was thrown around a little bit. Ignorance in Lubbock too, huh, Rob? Yeah, I mean, Lubbock's probably about the same size as Reno, maybe a little bit smaller than Reno, but they had their little peaceful protest where actually it wasn't that peaceful, because there was some vandalism in the daylight where they were spray painting stuff, and then the night came around and they just got stupid with infiltrators, it sounds like, primarily. What's up, Mule Team? How you doing? I don't know. We can't be boog buddies if we're this far away, Mule. I'm sorry. Reb's about as close as I get to a boog buddy. Hey, Die Bullfrog, what's up, Uncle Al? Ready for blackouts? Good question. That's rolling blackouts as part of the control to control the populace is definitely a possibility. Guns, what's up, Guns Coast to Coast? Want the government to leave you alone? Good luck. That's not going to happen anytime soon, right? What's up, Minnesota Prepper? I don't think you're near Minneapolis, but stay safe no matter how close you are up in any area really right now. Head on a swivel observing everything. HRM Weapons Machinist, what's going on? You're going to go read up HRM? You haven't been reading about the Boogaloo? I haven't even been talking about it a little bit, like using that term. It's not like, it's just a terminology is all it is. It's not like it's an organized, like, we're all a bunch of Boogaloo boys, which is a term that's been thrown out there, right? It's not like, it's just like everybody talking about the militia movement. It's a loose, affiliated, no head to the snake type thing, which scares them. but they're using it for this in particular. It's been interesting to watch that. Gray Note, how you doing? Yeah, right. Right, Gray Note. You would think that you could get some unity, but there's that division. There's that propaganda out there that creates the division. Just like they use that term boogaloo as a derogatory when everybody's been trying to embrace it, but it pushes the fringe, not the fringe, the outsiders. They hear that's white supremacist. Obviously, they're not going to even go investigate it. They see some high profile person on Twitter tweet about it being a bunch of white supremacists. Everybody's like, oh, I'm staying away from those guys, right? It's just like the militia idea. It's a constitutional idea that was just demonized to the point of no return. Hey, what's up, Food Forest? What's going on up there? And even Canada's had a few little rolling protests, which doesn't make any sense. But I guess they have some police issues too. But Antifa's worldwide. Oh, there you go, Guns. That's a good idea. All right, let me catch up. Liberty for All, how you doing this evening? I'll try to catch up here and pass over some of these comments. Sorry, guys, but thanks for coming in. Pennsylvania EMT bought a boat, hoping the boat never flips. Yeah, stay out of boats. I don't know. I don't have that problem. Gerald B, how's it going? Thanks for dropping in. But I got Bubba. Hey, what's going on? You got your in by the fire, right? That's nice. It's getting almost dark here. We're probably gonna start shutting it down here in a little bit as the sun goes down. Wes S, what's going on? You got the BB gun. That's a good thing to have. Keep the rodents away. Let me catch up here. Saints, what's up, Saint? Nerf or nothing. Hey, Christine, what's going on? Yeah, what's up with people wanting the military on the streets, right? And we've always talked about it. They will come to a point. That's what they want to push is people to beg for security. They want people to beg for the imposition on their rights. It just happened a lot faster than I think a lot of us were expecting. This was so widespread and so fast that nobody was ready for it. It's funny how that works, isn't it? Tyranny always finds a way. Yeah, lots of good stuff. I'm still going to try to catch up here before we move on. Man, you guys are... Jay Ufam, what's going on, Jay Ufam? Will these riots keep going, or are they going to start to die down soon? That's the $50 million question, right? Jay Ufam puts it out there. It's like, well, is there going to be any resolution? I think it depends partially on where the resolution comes from. And they kind of floated out that Mr. Floyd's murder wasn't because of asphyxiation, the medical examiner, I guess, at first. And then the private family had a private examiner done, and then they declared it was, by strangulation, and then the other one came back. So they're playing that back and forth. So they're keeping that tension in the air on that side. And then there's still things going on right now. So tonight's not the night. We still got pandemic lockdowns. You still got bad economy. People are out of a job. The economy is really going to be the killer one because people aren't working and stuff. What else are they going to go do, right? This could go on for another couple of weeks at least, I think, Jay Ufam. I think that's the near-term minimum. Not necessarily saying every city, every night, but sporadic at least at a minimum. This will continue, I think, for at least 2 weeks. So more to follow. That's kind of a pay cycle. Think of it that way. That might be kind of how it goes. Hey, Bob, what's going on? 5150, Bob checking in. What's up there in the high desert? Blue Healer 260, what's going on? Walmart closed early in Cedar Rapids. Step in loaded pallets in front of the door. Yeah, little small towns like that. There was protests in Fargo, North Dakota, of all places. Unruly ones. It's not like these are just peaceful protests. These are ones that always start off like that, but as soon as it gets dark, it's like the chaos comes out. And it's in all places. Reno, Fargo, all these small places. There was a video tonight in Maine. Just places you would never think of. Gun says, imagine how hard I would fight if we use a chopstick on me. I'm not even sure what's this supposed to mean. Am I supposed to laugh at you, Guns, because you bringing a chopstick at me? I'm not sure what a chopstick is. T. Felix, what's up? Reno is quiet tonight? Is that right? Are you in Reno? Okay, good. Thanks for checking in. There was actually some people on the streets tonight in Reno. I saw some video from Cyrus down in Vegas. He's been down there the last couple of nights. It's kind of what you expect. It's Metro is one of those overreaching militarized police forces for sure. And the big thing, I mean, it's not something you want when Nevada was just trying to open up to get tourists back, and then you have this kickoff, really putting a crimp in Nevada's plans, because that's the real kicker to the engine of the economy, right? Is the tourism for Vegas in particular. They really want to clamp down on that and just keep it as a sideshow. They don't want anything going on in Vegas, because if they can't get those casinos running, they're talking about that's a huge money deal. As much as the Metro doesn't want to talk about it, the mayor's probably calling them, the city council's probably calling them, saying keep this at a minimum. Quiet out there, nowhere, Arizona, right? Yeah, same here, Bob. Quiet out here in the middle of nowhere. Bug Up Bubba says the soon become an issue. Bob's off grid. Nice, Bob. Very well done.
Oh, there he is. We found him. We found him. Go. I don't know if you heard about this, but there's some pizza inside for your belly.
Gerald B, big protest in Bangor, right? I got sidetracked there. Dinner bell ringing. 2 weeks, we'll probably move on, says C. Yeah, that's the outside time frame. I think that's the minimum, is 2 weeks. And who knows what goes beyond that. I mean, the way 2020 is working, we're going to have something different every 2 weeks, right? Hey, what's up, Quasar? What's going on? How you doing? Good to see you, Quasar. Am I catching up? I'm starting to catch up here to the comments. Yeah, Wayne, everybody's getting tired of getting poked, right? Poking the bear. Oh, Bob, you still need to do your 10 questions. It's all good, man. There's been lots of good videos like that. This pandemic will be over by the time you get to it anyway. Okay. Oh, you've been deep sea fishing up there in Canada. Nice. Cops got ran over by an SUV, says Quasar. I did not see that. Was that in St. Louis? In your area or what? I haven't seen that though. Yeah, folks are sick of being home, that's for sure. Well, that's the normal, like, average everyday person. Those aren't the people that are starting all these fires and stuff, and doing all the instigating. That is not your average person who's just tired of being cooped up. You know what I'm saying? I got some hogs there, Quasar. I got to get them put down and get some more meat in the freezer. We don't have a meat shortage here. Please, no more nonsense. See, I'm afraid that's what's coming down to. I don't see it easing up. Barry Wood checking in. What's up, Barry? How are you? St. Louis is still bad right now? Okay. I haven't seen St. Louis mentioned in many of the reports, but I'll take your word for it. Mostly, but a bad night in Seattle or St. Louis could be a good night anywhere else, the way things are going. Especially, Portland was like a delayed reaction. I was talking to Adam at PCP Media there on Twitter, just like thinking of all the most likely targets. And I was like, Portland and Seattle bound to kick off. And they were like nothing the first night. And the second night, it was like delayed reaction, boom, and you saw if you saw the video or not in Portland, they took down the city center where the sheriff's office and everything else is and lit it on fire and all kinds of chaos. Because that's definitely an Antifa stronghold for sure. All right, people checking out. Guns, you out? See you later, Bob. Thanks for checking in. Dinner time? Yeah, I got mine ringing too over here, so it is that time. Hey, what's up, Walter Davis? How are you? Good to see you, Walter. Thanks for checking in. You're pretty close to Philly there, Walter. I'm sure you got some experiences going on. I say I hear Philly's pretty bad. Mule Team says towns all along the 80 have been warned to people traveling to spread it. Right? That's the big thing now. Is and there was some reassuring video, going back to talking about people arming up. Uh, after that word came out that Antifa was going to the rural areas or more small towns, suburbs. Video out of the Washington area and some of the suburbs, smaller towns surrounding them, of people armed at intersections, saying stay out of here. There's one video of Snohomish, Washington. It's on Twitter. It's on my Twitter. I retweeted it. I don't know where you can find it elsewhere, but the video was made by somebody who was complaining they were ashamed of Snohomish because of all these people out there on the streets that were armed to repel Antifa, right? But it makes, if you're a proud American, they'd be very proud of. They came out there in force to send a message that do not come and mess with us, you know. So a lot of small places are definitely trying to get the word out. Don't come around here. I know that in Carson City, the sheriff was doing some regular rounds, and the only thing he ran into was few teenagers walking around or whatever. So nothing unusual at least by the capital area. Right, Quasar, you're in the middle belly of the beast there. Barry, no issues in Eastern Washington, right? Even there in Pullman, or in Spokane, the city college towns. That's the biggest thing, is these Antifa types circulating around college towns. But then maybe they were deployed and they'll come back later. Gray Note's wife is a co-workers in St. Louis. They're throwing Molotovs at police. Dude got run over trying to break into a UPS. I did not see that. Oh, wow. So St. Louis is pretty frosty right now, huh? Pretty sideways. St. Louis is pretty chill considering the past, though, says Quasar. Yeah, it's all relative, right? It's like people have seen worse. It's like L.A. Playing Pokemon in northern Nevada. The LA riots, like what's happening in LA is not like LA riots 92 stuff, but it's trying to amp it up, you know. Oh, was Fuzz checking in? I missed Fuzz. Oh, there's Fuzz. What's up, Fuzz? Fuzz the Fork 8. The riots diverted your attention. Start looking behind the curtains. Meat shortages next. Well, if you go back to the beginning of the video, Fuzz, I was kind of trying to play out the next stage of what's coming. To be aware, just to observe, because it's not like you're going to stop it. Everybody knows meat shortages are coming, but the political boondoggle that's going on with the incompetence of everybody who claims to be a politician right now, from mayors up to governors to the president to people running for president, it's almost like they're purposefully showing how incompetent they are. They're going out of their way to be just jackasses, you know. Up and down the line. This is all of them, right? I think Amash is the only one that's a voice of reason, and maybe a couple of others. A lot of people have been really quiet, actually, that usually tweet a lot. I haven't seen much from like Thomas Massey and some of the more liberty-minded folk. I haven't seen much from them. Ocasio Cortex there has lit up her Twitter with the socialist prodigum, but other than that, it's been really quiet and just jackassery to show like how incompetent politicians can be. And what I was saying at the kind of the midpoint there, Fuzz, is that if this continues, if this pain tolerance continues, and the American people continue to ask for peace and security, the military is being set up for a military takeover. That's what I'm saying. I think the setup is there. The people are being groomed for that. And then I talked earlier too about it, Fuzz, about the FBI that's letting Antifa have a full ride, and that means they're in on it, because I can't believe that the FBI is that ignorant to not be able to infiltrate and disrupt an Antifa organization unless they're in on it, and let them do it, because seeing firsthand what the FBI can do, what they're capable of. So it is what it is, and I think that's what it's leading up to. Because the buffoonery coming out of all sections of politics is just, it's a setup. and people are going to beg for that security in the end. And we've always talked about what's the pain tolerance for the American people before they actually beg for that boot hill. You know, it is what it is. Pallets of bricks, right, Quasar? That's a big tell. That pallets of bricks thing is just baffling. Now, granted, there's always some construction site. But what's funny, the real indicator is when you look at the bricks that are there, they never match like the buildings around them, because there's always building codes, right? Especially in some cities where you have to match at least the appearance on the outside and stuff. These bricks never match any of the nearby buildings by style and design. So somebody's going out and buying the cheapest bricks they can find to drop them off at some weird places. There was one video of Frisco, Texas today or yesterday, under the underpass, pallets and pallets in Frisco, Texas, of all places, right? There's just bizarre things taking place, and it just tells you the organization level that's occurring. And again, those federal agencies that are responsible, supposed to be on those things, are failing drastically, and they're not. And they're most likely they're not failing; they are allowing it to happen, which raises other questions that we don't have all the answers to, but we have to continue to evaluate, I would say. And it's just, again, the setup is for the military takeover, unfortunately. So with that, folks, thanks for checking in, folks. Trident Tony, that's his name. Hey, what's up, Tony? Thanks for checking in. We're just talking about you earlier. Stay frosty on your end as best you can. That's a whole another boondoggle. And like I was telling everybody earlier, Tony, that doesn't happen without three-letter agencies involving themselves. You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely the three-letter agencies getting involved for some reason, which doesn't make any sense, except just to mess with you. You know what I'm saying? So everybody, appreciate it. Thanks for checking in. Stay frosty. Or stay really frosty this time of year. Prep hard, live free. Let me get out of here. How'd I get out of this thing?